Hello, everyone. My name is Gavin Fitzgerald. Welcome to the first episode of the Unnamed Racing Podcast. I am joined today with my co-host Blair Kneebone.
Hello.
This podcast will be talking about everything from like real life racing, mostly NASCAR. Going to touch on some F1 and IMSA stuff, with a hint of iRacing and sim racing news in general. Definitely going to be more towards the IRL stuff. We mostly specialize in iRacing, stuff like that. So don't expect any Assetto Corsa, anything else on this podcast. Had a weekend full of racing. We had F1 at Miami, NASCAR Cup and Xfinity at Texas.
And truck.
Oh, truck was, oh yeah, truck too. Can't forget the truck series. Oh yeah, because Ruggiero went flying through the grass. Okay. That's literally the only reason I know the truck race actually happened this week. So yeah, Blair, where do you think we should start here? Start off with Texas.
Let's start at the start of the weekend with the truck series because that was a truck series race for sure. It was pretty standard of truck series of let's have a good clean race and let's junk them at the end. Corey Heim did what Corey Heim does and tried to run away with the race, and he had the race pretty much locked up until a handful of green, white checkers and cautions within the last 20 laps. But as much as he faced some pressure from some not guys that aren't normally at the front, but also faced pressure from guys he's used to battling, and he let them fight it out with themselves, and he kind of just did his own thing and drove off into the sunset for another Truck Series win and the win at Texas.
Yeah, I feel like that's Corey Heim's specialty is he'll go out, dominate whatever truck race he's in, and at the end it just turns into calamity. Even though that being said, the truck race was on a record for no overtime finishes for I think it was like 12 races or something close to that. I don't have the exact stat handy. So we say that the end of these truck races get wild, but they haven't for a while. I've heard obviously everyone said after Phoenix in I believe it was 2023, the truck series really cleaned it up, and that is showing for sure. I know Texas wasn't the best example of it. We had trucks flying through the grass like it was C fixed. I still don't know. That grass has been there since Texas was a thing, a track. Since it's been there, it hasn't moved. I don't know what it was this week with cars flying through it, but other than
Yeah,
that,
there was a handful.
rather standard truck race. Really, Corey Heim winning is not a surprise to anybody.
Well, and
No
it's his
cars.
third win of the year. He's putting together another very, very solid year.
Yeah, no, he's got a start this week in the Cup Series at Kansas. So it'll be interesting how he does there. I think he's going to be the perfect example. Hocevar is a good example too of the jump from trucks to Cup is now more prevalent than, in my opinion, going through the Xfinity ladder.
Well, and we're getting to see that example in a lot of cases now because teams are trying to move guys up so quickly and in some cases a little too quickly. You're getting to see what that extra experience is getting guys like Hocevar as an example compared to someone like Riley Herbst.
Yeah, and even the truck drives more similar now to the Cup car than it does the Xfinity car. And whether that is a problem or not falls into your own opinion. I think it's a problem because the whole point of the ladder is it's a ladder. It's not a hopscotch pad. You're not supposed to jump ahead. You're supposed to just stay on, like, you're supposed to climb the ladder. And people aren't doing that anymore. And it's, some people may say it's a problem. We see Hocevar get into an incident almost every weekend, which I don't have a problem with. I don't count this week at Texas because that wasn't necessarily his fault. Everyone was having troubles off 1 and 2 in Cup. But
Hocevar's following a. I was listening to Junior's podcast talking about this, and I never thought about it until now. I'm looking at it. Hocevar's following a very not similar, but has very strong similarities to a Ross Chastain career path. In very good in on series leading up to Cup and gets to Cup and is a little reckless with machinery and his driving style. So I think you need to get. I think if we give Hocevar some time, and once those things are going to happen, he's going to drive recklessly. Things are going to happen, and he's going to get in some people's naughty books, I guess is the word I'm thinking of. But he's going to have to work through these things, and I think he has a good group of people around him to mentor him and to help him get past these things because they've been through them themselves. So I think give it a season or two, and you could see Carson Hocevar in a very favorable position where we see him right now.
I mean, that Ross Chastain run in 2023 fed families.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love it. Some people don't. The drivers don't, but I love it. I think Carson's great for the
Well,
sport.
there's always someone like this that the drivers have problems with because of how they drive, and sometimes it's just over aggression, and sometimes it's just doing dumb stuff. But regardless, they are still talked about very much, and they're gonna run in the top, and drivers have to get used to that and learn how to drive around them.
Yeah, for sure. That's part of the learning experience, right? Carson hasn't been doing this full time. So you're going to do some dumb stuff for the most part. I understand that. Um,
And it's a lot of people overlook it now because of where some of these guys are. But you look at guys like, Larson, Logano, Hamlin, Brad, even. It all happened with them when they were, in their first couple seasons and young drivers. They made moves and did things that got them, some stink eyes in the garage and made them some enemies. And like I say, most drivers are gonna go through it eventually, but it's just how you come out on the other side of it that determines how you're gonna write your career.
well, even now you see drivers, experienced drivers. We'll use Kyle Busch as an example in the Cup race. People weren't happy of him, you know, letting off the brake pedal and sliding across the infield, almost like Ricky Stenhouse's junior's life must have flashed before his eyes going through the infield. I still can't believe he missed him, but even experienced drivers make mistakes like this all the time. People don't talk about that, and it's not as frequent, but it's not uncommon that Denny Hamlin does something that pisses somebody off, or Larson or Bush or anyone. It's
Yeah,
it's part of the sport. You're gonna piss
exactly.
people off, like Hosevar
And
said.
the maturing is learning a how you deal with them and the how regular of an occurrence they are.
Yeah. Well, like Hosevar said, people aren't here to be in a boy band. You're gonna have hurt feelings. People are gonna be upset, and you're gonna have to move on.
Well,
There's
and
no
when you're
beating
racing
around
for
it.
a living, you're doing this to, make money to give yourself a living. Sometimes you have to get your elbows out and maybe do something that someone else isn't going to like, but you just have to live to deal with that.
100%. That's the way this sport is, to climb the ladder and move on. So
And speaking of climbing the ladder, we had the Xfinity race on Saturday. Kyle Larson driving the Junior Motorsports 88 for the injured Connor Zilisch after that hard hit that he took at Texas or at Talladega on the last lap. And Kyle Larson did what Kyle Larson does. Shows up in Xfinity and puts on quite a dominant performance between him and Austin Hill. It was quite dominant for both of them, actually.
yeah, like Justin Allgaier was there too. Don't forget about poor Justin Allgaier. But no, Larson, every time he just steps into an Xfinity car, is just an animal. It's unbelievable. Like he said, like he's gone on the public record and said that he wants to come down to Xfinity and embarrass the whole field, and he does it almost every single time he races, with the exception of Justin Allgaier and a couple others. It's it's impressive. I think it has a lot to do with his dirt racing background. And the Xfinity cars like to slip and slide. They're not as planted as the Cup car or the truck. Obviously, coming from a dirt racing background, that's something that Larson knows very well. So I am not at all surprised to see the success he's had in Xfinity and have
And seeing
almost
him
no
do it in 2
challengers.
separate cars too, not just the Hendrick-funded 17 car, this week doing it in a Junior
Two separate
Motorsports car.
cars that totally aren't alike or built the same.
Well, you get the point I'm getting across.
Yeah, I guess I think the Hendrick Xfinity cars are built at Hendrick, so that's not technically true. I'd say that the Junior Motorsports Cup car was more of a Hendrick car than a Hendrick Xfinity car is to a Junior Motorsports Xfinity car, if that makes sense.
Sure, sort of,
is
kind of, not really.
Well, someone will understand me.
I think before we move on from the Xfinity race, we have to touch on how Justin Allgaier's day came to an end.
A tragic end.
I have never seen something like that.
Blair,
Okay,
you're
I've
an
seen that.
iRacing. Blair, you're an iRacing member. You see
We've
shit like this
seen it,
almost every day.
But at that level, and how egregious it was, where for anyone who hasn't seen it, Allgaier is, up to speed, and about 10 miles an hour slower, and just completely block into Allgaier and wreck him, which was just made zero sense. I understand trying to, hold your spot, but just makes no sense in that case.
Yeah, I mean,
Gavin, I know you have some opinions on it, so.
I understand. I'm gonna agree with what the tweet that Landon Castle put out is a pretty good summarization of how almost everybody feels about this. Like, it is obviously Allgaier's job to get around him in a safe and efficient manner, but what gets lost in this is the pit cycle they were in the middle of. Like, Larson short pitted Allgaier, and Allgaier knew that he had a few laps before the tires plateaued. Like, he was on full go mode. And again, I just don't understand why Chris Wright was in the middle of two lanes. Pick a lane. It's
It
one or
wasn't,
the
he
other.
moved up, he was on the bottom and sticking it on the bottom, and then off the corner, he just gradually went up to the same place where Allgaier was trying to go. He basically took away any exit path that Allgaier would have had.
Yeah, that's with the exception of, hammering on the brake, and that's not necessarily a safer option. Allgaier had nothing to do, nothing to do.
It's just a hopeless position.
It's just a hopeless. Allgaier's in a no-win position. I'm sure there was some, hindsight's 2020. People have to remember, this goes for both sides of this argument, that this, we can sit here and we've had, that race happen on Saturday. So everyone's had a few days to watch this replay 100 times and say, oh, someone should have done this, or, oh, someone should have done that. When in reality, that situation happened in 10 seconds, a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
It's impossible for someone to make a decision or not. It's not impossible, but it's a lot easier to sit back here and armchair drive and say, well, he should have done this or he should have done that. In the moment, it was probably a hard decision and it just wasn't the right one.
And especially off the corner is a hard spot to make you don't want to make anything too sudden coming off of a slick corner and risk, the back end stepping out from you, or, he drives off scot-free, and, next thing you're in the wall by yourself.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous spot to have to make a move, that's for sure.
When I first saw the replay, I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? But sitting back and watching it, and it's just a tough decision for everyone to be in. Then again, even if
that was unfortunately how Allgaier's Xfinity race ended.
Even if we had, great sound advice, nobody would listen to two iRacers that have never driven an actual stock car before.
I don't know. I think we absolutely. We'd be amazing. I think they should take all the advice from us.
Yeah, 100%. You're right.
That's
we have one go-kart orientation under our belt. We should.
NASCAR
we've got
champions.
Don't ask me how many times I spun out during that orientation,
No, no,
but
no, no, that's not important.
that's not important.
Yeah, I could
Um,
drive a cup car.
yeah,
Speaking
they
of
could.
cup cars, we had the cup race on Sunday, and again, Texas put on a very good weekend of racing.
I
Um,
agree.
Overall, unfortunate. I think a lot of NASCAR fans disappointed with the result. Joey Logano wins, but so be it. I can't be too upset. Ross Chastain with a second place finish, much, much needed for the Trackhouse camp. He's been having a tough season. Blaney was right there. Thought he might finally get it. Um, After the very hard start to the season he's had, couldn't get it finished off with the couple restarts that they had to have in the overtime at the end. Um, he's right there. He's knocking on the door to get his win to get him in, but still doesn't have it yet. And very interesting top 10 for this race. And I know things were shaken up a lot with pit strategies and, like I say, the cautions that we saw towards the end. But a lot of guys ran well on those short runs after those cautions where we haven't seen them all year. Guys like Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse, John Hunter Nemechek was up there too. Um, in eighth place finished. So good weekend for a lot of guys. Not as good a weekend for some others. Like Denny engine gave out on him. Um, Brad Keselowski's snowball of a season continues. Bubba Wallace had a pretty poor Josh
My new
Berry as
my
well.
new favorite driver, Justin Berry,
Yeah, that's
driving
gonna
the
be my
27.
yeah. But yeah, so overall some ups and downs for the whole spectrum of drivers this weekend. Your thoughts on Texas, Gavin?
I mean, I think I speak for a majority of NASCAR fans where whenever we've gone to Texas the last few years, everybody cringes and goes, "Oh, we're racing at Texas this weekend," and no one like that's what everyone thought going into this week, and here we are. Pretty good race for Texas. Um, Almost this one race has shifted the whole perception of the track. I think it's starting to age. The next gen car kind of lends itself well to how treacherous it is with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 being so different. Um, there was talks earlier, like, a few weeks ago about Texas getting the Atlanta treatment. And before this weekend, I would have 100% agreed with you. I said that. I think a lot of people said that from the start. They should have repaved Atlanta, let it age, and gutted Texas and redone it. But obviously, that ship has sailed, and NASCAR or SMI, think Texas owns SMI. Someone fact check me on that. But they've said that Texas will not be getting that treatment. And after this week, I can say it's a good decision. Wasn't an outstanding race by any means, but that's what this sport is. You're not going to have a barn burner finish every single week. You're going to have just some mid races, and that's what this was. It was good to see the strategy shake things up at the end. Everyone was. I guarantee you there were a lot of people that were Michael McDowell fans, um, just so Joey Logano didn't win this race. I can't believe that we did all that though, just for Joey Logano to win the race. I will retweet every tweet I see about that. All this for Joey Logano win. Why are we here? I have an unbelievable amount of respect for Michael McDowell throwing a massive block. That is like, I don't think we've seen a block that wild in the next gen car at a mile and a half. Like that
And,
was like, I don't even like it compromised everybody's corner and he still lost it at the end of the day, but just unbelievable balls from this man to
and
do what he did.
and I hate giving credit here, but we have to give credit where credit's due. That block was incredible, and Logano still managed to make the corner and get the spot, and not lose time to, I believe it was Blaney that flew in and took second away from McDowell. So the fact that Logano is pushed or blocked all the way to the wall and can still make the corner was just an incredible skill, an incredible feat of skill to me.
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of people were kind of rooting for McDowell there. I was just um, like, you just want to see Spire do well in general as a team that's gone and invested a lot in the sport lately. Would have been nice to see them win. I don't think anyone thought that win would come from McDowell. I guarantee you, every single person thinks that Hocevar is going to win Spire's first, like I'll say, first race. Um, with the exception of that Justin Haley win at Daytona, however many years ago that was. First, like, actual race. I think a lot of people thought Hocevar was going to do it. And, for a bit there, everyone thought that McDowell was going to do it. But
And
again,
this season's been a tough one to watch for Spire because qualifying and start of races, they've been so promising, but they just haven't been able to put a full race together at the front. From pole or from top 5 qualifying positions, they just haven't been able to string a full race together yet to get um, that inaugural win this year.
yeah, I think Spire unloads off the truck really well, and then they seem to lose it in a race pace. I'm not an engineer. I have absolutely no idea why that is. Um, Probably just the way they unload off the truck. They'd rather have it all trimmed out for like short runs, I guess. Problem is you unload off the truck and you're fast, and then everyone goes, well, we have no long run speed. There's no time to correct it for them. They're basically stuck with what you have. So I think they'll get it done eventually. Um, there's still some kinks that they're probably ironing out. That was seen with Spire and Rodney Childers parting ways this week as well. Just they got to work out all these little kinks and stuff before they become a full contender. And I think they will get, they're 100% going to get there eventually. There's no doubt in my mind. They've got a really good driver lineup to take them there. It's just basically a matter of time until all the small kinks get worked out and those cars start having consistent race winning speed.
Yeah, and there's a couple teams you see going through that right now, but Spire at the front for I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Front of the pack.
Yeah, that's what that's what we'll go with. But definitely showing signs of hope for Spire fans, but just those growing pains they got to work out. Like I touched on earlier, very good day for Trackhouse with double top 10. Uh, been a rough year so far for them. Um, and SVG in 22nd. You know what? He finished a race, so we're gonna give that as a win right now because been very disappointing so far with his Cup debut. Um, but yeah, Ross had a couple chances this year to have some good finishes, and things haven't gone his way. So hopefully, a second place finish here at Texas is the opening of the floodgates to get that team rolling. Um, anything else you wanted to touch on for Texas here, Gab?
Not really. Um,
Larson fourth. Larson just
Larson
does what
doing
Larson does.
he just does what he does. He had a strong car, could have won the race. It just didn't pan out there for him at the end. Same,
Yeah.
you could have said the
Then
same with a
there
lot of
was a lot
cars.
of guys that were there at the end. They're right there, and it just didn't pan out for them. Larson, McDowell, Bush, just these unpredictable things in the last 15, 20 laps of a NASCAR race.
Well, you could have said the same thing about Ryan Blaney was one,
Yeah,
restart like lane choice away from winning the race.
yeah.
Made, evidently the wrong decision. But like I said earlier with the whole Chris Wright thing, um, easy to say hindsight's 2020. I'm sure if you asked him, he said, yeah, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have picked a different lane. But here we
But
are.
in the moment, things are a little different, and you got to take what you see in the moment, right? Looking back on it to say, oh, I would have changed my choice. Well, unfortunately, the moment was when you made the decision. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, that is
um,
is what it is.
other big NASCAR news this week 2026, we're going back to Homestead, Miami. for the championship weekend, which is, I think, a very welcome sight by most, if
Everybody.
not all, NASCAR fans. And sounds like we're going to have a rotating championship race, which is very exciting. Um, Not confirmed yet on the tracks, but it sounds like Phoenix will be in the mix, Miami will be in the mix, um, and we'll have to just see the rest of them. Maybe hoping Vegas. They've put on some good races in the last couple of years.
Any mile and a
Uh,
half, really.
yeah, any mile and a half, and in the warmer climates, it seems like is going to be up for a championship race in the near future. I like this move by NASCAR. Phoenix started to get a little. I think everyone after is starting to get tired of Phoenix as the championship race and was hoping for something new. We've had championship races at Homestead before, and we all know that they are a very entertaining championship race. So going back there was a very good decision as a tested track for championship races. And even in the next gen in the last couple of years, we've had some really good races there.
Yeah, I think going back to Miami, everyone's a big fan of it, and even more so, everyone's a bigger fan of the rotating championships, or at least I personally am. Um, Lots of venues getting thrown out. NASCAR is pretty limited by, the climate. Um, it has to be somewhere hot. The coldest place I've seen thrown around is Charlotte. Um, but I've heard multiple people say it's too cold. I have no idea what temperature these cars need to, like, the ambient temperature needs to be for these cars to run. I have no idea. I think though, like, if I had to pick three, I would say Vegas, Phoenix, and Homestead. Obviously, those three, I think you could, any of those three races are a championship caliber track. Um, all, world class facilities. I know Homestead is renovating this year. I believe Vegas renovated a couple of years ago, I think. And Phoenix, obviously, they redesigned the whole track when they got the championship race, basically. So, all world class facilities, um, all very capable of holding the championship.
And
And,
also, I have to give a very strong kudos to NASCAR on their reveal video for the championship race in Miami. Very, very well done.
I I think the most shocking part about that is we have Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski in the same commercial.
I did
We've got
enjoy some of when they said Bush wanted to know if they went back to Miami, and Bush goes, "Is there anything you want to know, Brad?" He goes, Does Denny ever win a championship?"
no.
So we're gonna throw some jabs in at Denny even when he's not around.
NASCAR was like, "Oh, you're gonna sue us? Well, we're gonna make fun of you in a social media video." It
Well,
is gonna be 10 times more hilarious if Denny wins a championship this year.
oh, it'll be great.
We'll
Well,
just
let's stay in Miami for right now and shift our attention to the Formula One race that was in Miami this week, which was much needed for Formula One, considering how the last couple Miamis have gone and that they just signed an extension until 2041. People were a little worried with how these races have gone, and I think this weekend brought new life into this track and showed racing that we haven't seen before. Um, Kimi Antonelli getting a first pole in the sprint race, and I think that showed some of his rookie flaws that we haven't seen yet.
promptly
Um,
bottling it in the first corner.
yeah, just not confident off pole and trying to overdrive it. But that sprint race, we haven't had a race like that in a long time. Um, and especially in such a short race, going from wet or inters to dries and shaking everything up was very entertaining watch, much needed for the sport in general.
Yeah, I think Miami, um, F1 is struggling in general a lot right now with street courses. Um, not a lot of street courses are putting on necessarily the best of races. And Miami was pretty entertaining by F1 standards. You know, we had that massive battle between Lando and Max. Um, that was really the peak of the race. Um, it really didn't get much better than that. We had Ferrari doing Ferrari things and fighting with each other,
I think there
and
was more fighting between Lewis and his pit wall than him and Leclerc. Leclerc was just a passenger for that.
this is gonna be my main F1 talking point for this podcast, and we're gonna start this first episode with the hottest take in F1 history. I have no idea why people like Ferrari. I have no idea. I don't understand it. They're not good. Like they're okay.
I can
Like
understand why you would become a Ferrari fan 30 years ago, 20 years ago. But as a modern day F1 fan, I don't know what the appeal is.
they're just like obviously they're not awful. Like they're still a middle of the pack team, but for a team that the FIA pays money to, you're this bad and you're this mid. I don't get it. You have two of the best drivers on the grid and you just constantly like finish in, you know, fifth or sixth and there is not a single Formula 1 race that goes by without massive Ferrari drama where someone's mad at someone or the pit wall does something dumb or something breaks or just something. Every week it's something with this team and I just cannot understand why if you are a new F1 fan you look at Ferrari and go, "Yep, this is what I want."
Yeah,
I don't
it's
understand.
I can't understand it either. Um they have to figure it out if they want to keep where they are. I think Lewis needs to calm down, to be honest. He's not adapting to this change very well, and he's not. His chemistry with the new engineers is horrendous, which surprises me because he seems like such a willing driver, and he's was excited about this chapter of Ferrari, and he seems like he's taken it with a pretty closed mind and wants things done his way, realizing, you know what, it's a new team. They might not be done my way.
I'm gonna preface this as well with I only became an F1 fan in 2020. I only started paying attention in 2020, but I still, know enough and watched enough and read enough. Like, how can you look at what happened when Seb moved to Ferrari and Lewis goes, "Yep, this is it. This is what I want." I don't understand that
I think a big part of
personally.
Ferrari that they still hold is the history and the acclaim. Like at the end of the day, no matter what happens, they are Ferrari, and it is a forever historic F1 team. It's similar to Williams. Look at Williams right now. They're starting to climb back out, but they were a very, very poor team for a while. But they have so much history and so much success in F1 in the past that has cemented them as a F1 team and as a historic. I want to be a part of this F1 team.
I think that's the only reason why is the historic part. It's definitely nothing in the present.
That
Um,
is for sure.
2022 was as good as it was going to get for Ferrari. I feel for the next little while. Lewis is aging. It is, it's a
And I think the
fact.
other thing is there's not a lot, there's only so many teams, but there's so many teams right now that are on the up. McLaren clearly is at, if not hitting their peak. Williams seems to be finding performance and has things in the pipeline. Red Bull's gonna be there. We have Audi taking over soon, Cadillac coming in. It's not Now is the time you want to be building up, not you know slowing down or falling out of it because just there's so much future in F1 right now. Not not as much. I don't know where I was
Leeway.
going with that.
Leeway. I know what you mean. There's not a lot of leeway anymore. Like F1's pretty cutthroat right now. Seems like every year there's a team that goes on the up and one team that goes on like the way down. Like last year, I know the Sauber was awful last year, but the year before that, it was a respectable car. I don't know where it finished, but I know it was not bad. And now it's awful. Like, let me take you for a ride on my very small, very slow green tractor. I am so sorry
I
to
think they're just
everybody that has to
limping
drive
to
that car
the end of this
to the
era.
Audi finish line. Like, but
Yeah,
again, I can't be Audi and looking at this and going, "Yep, woohoo!"
they
Especially
have
with
to
everything
have. I think they
Audi
have.
had to lose too. They like Audi lost like so much. Like they cut every team for F1 for this. I'm not saying it'll be bad. I'm just saying that if this is the current trajectory, it's not going to be good when they get here.
And I think it's gonna be a wait. I think it's gonna be more of a waiting game than anything to see what they can bring to the table.
Well, all to be fair, all Williams needed was one off season, right? And they did a complete flip.
And I think we knew, and we had Williams to look forward to because Carlos Sainz is a smart driver, and his dad still has an influence with his career on helping him. And I can't see Carlos Sainz deciding I'm going to go to this team, and I don't see any future in them. I think we've heard it from James Vowles himself that 2025 or 2025 is going to be a bit of a leap year. And then they have some big things in the pipeline for 2026. So I'm very excited watching this Williams car right now and seeing the steps that they've even taken this year compared to last year. They're looking like more of a competitive mid pack team instead of just can we be in the mid pack or are we a bottom tier team?
Yeah, if this is a leap year, then I don't want to know what a good year will be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm very excited and to see Albon finally getting
A fair shake.
yeah, and what he has been trying to get out of this car for so many years, he's finally getting it out of the car. And don't get me wrong, I think Sainz is going to be right there soon enough, and he's going to be toe to toe with Albon. But Albon knows the car better than him, so currently it's Albon's time to shine and to take the leadership role and show Sainz the ropes of Williams, considering how long he's been there and how he's been able to learn the car.
Yeah, definitely happy that Williams is doing well after the disaster that they've gone through the last little while. Um, so
But
hoping they keep up their upward momentum for sure.
yes, so overall, I think much needed week for F1 and a very entertaining week for F1 fans. I don't even think we've touched on Oscar extends the championship lead in McLaren dominance by what 32 seconds or something the second place, which was just absurd. Oh, sorry, completely went over this. Speaking of signs, um, how about Sainz's attempted murder on the last corner?
That was brutal.
I
That
was
was
waiting for it because we're watching it and it's like, okay, Ferrari's back and forth with each other. They're fighting. Well, guys, Sainz is 3 seconds back. Guys, Sainz is 2 seconds back.
there's a
Checkered
man in the
flag drops, and
woods.
then next thing we see is Sainz is going to kill Lewis.
Yeah,
I
the end.
love the aggression and the attempted move.
There's
Li-
aggression, and then there's that.
Hey, he didn't dump him. He
Yeah, because
didn't
Lewis
dump him
Lewis
fully.
saw him coming. That was like, yeah, that was just bad.
That was a move.
We were,
But
yeah,
I
we
think back on the
one turn
Ferrari thing,
away.
that needs to be a wake up call. If you're gonna fight and if you're gonna have these problems, guys are gonna catch you. It happened, and a Williams caught them. So that's they need to figure this out sooner than later, because stuff like that will happen. And next time, it might not be Signs driving into him. It might be. There's too many names I can pick from right now.
Liam
It could
Lawson.
be Liam Lawson, and guess what? I don't think you have the leeway you had when Signs hit you. if
Jack
that's
Doohan?
Liam
Oh
Lawson.
wait, never
Oh,
mind.
wait. Oh, yeah,
Never
speaking of,
mind. That
Jack
was
Doohan out
short-lived.
of his seat, 7 races into the season, Franco Colapinto already back. I think that's just signing a ticket to your grave. That Alpine is terrible this year. I don't I feel bad for Colapinto. He looked very good in the Williams last year at the end of the season for how little experience he had in it. We'll see. Hopefully it proves me wrong. I really like him as a driver, but yeah, it's a quick turnaround for sure, and it's gonna be an interesting one to see how Colapinto can handle a big pink tractor.
Yeah, it's a battle of mid, I think, for that seat. I don't understand why. Again, I if I had a nickel for every time that a team, kicked a driver out of his seat way too early this year, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. So I don't really know. Doing staying on as a reserve driver. Um, and I've read, obviously, I don't have the contract in my hand, but I've read multiple times that Colapinto's contract is only for 5 races. So, like, what if Colapinto wrecks it? Are we going back to doing? Are we bringing up like someone else? Like,
And I
I don't
think
know,
it's tough
man.
for any new driver in F1 right now because there's so many guys just right there. They're ready to take the next step. But with how many limited seats there are, you can only give so many people chances. And with lower teams and mid teams like this, well, we've got the pipeline ready. Like, you have to take that opportunity and run with it yourself, or else there's a guy right on your tail that's ready to replace you.
Go. This is my message to every reserve F1 driver or F1 driver that's lost their seat. Go race whack and enjoy your life. Don't do this shit. Don't do this shit.
That seems
Like,
to be
just
where they all end up,
don't
isn't
do
it?
this. Like,
Well, if you want to go enjoy your life and have fun racing instead of a stressful F1, go on to iRacing, which is I think where we're gonna pivot this. That was a terrible. I'll give myself credit. Big week for iRacing. It's the start of the Indy 500 week. We've got fixed qualifying and fixed races at the end of this week. Um,
catch us Friday at 9 p.m. for our attempts on Twitch, or at least my attempt on Twitch. Blair won't
attempt.
stream his.
Not saying win, not saying finish. Attempt.
I've
Um,
this race haunts me. I've been so close.
this race is painful.
What did you do this last year?
Yeah,
I don't remember if you did.
I wrecked like a quarter into the race.
I have no replays, and I'll look up the race results after. I don't have them handy, but man, this race haunts me in my sleep. I think because we had the 2 years and then 2 years off, and now this is the second year of it being back, and so I can count 3 races that I probably could have won and didn't.
And that's what Indy holds, so especially in iRacing, is you're right there, but it's just not enough.
They call me Pato
Um,
Award.
no, this is his year. No, actually, it's Larson's year.
Man,
Um,
we'll talk
how'd your
about that
qualifying
closer
go?
too.
I'm personally not qualifying, but
Y-
how'd your qualifying go?
Yeah, this is the first year I've qualified. I usually just kind of go off SOF. Because I know usually the qualifying results in a lot of tomfoolery. Like, oh man, where's the note? Someone sent me a note of what to do for fixed qualifying. It's like sit in pit road for 5 minutes and rev your engine and go out on track, but don't shift gears until here. And don't don't hit the wall. I don't know. Like it's just a little wild, I think. Like the strategy, I don't know. Like just to get the car up to temp and stuff like that, it all seems kind of silly to me, but I figured I might as well try it one year. As of 8 o'clock, like the 8 o'clock session on Wednesday, I was sitting about 324th out of 1,400 people. So that's, by no means a poor position by any means. And so I'm happy with that. Probably take another run at it today or tonight at least. But definitely looking forward to that on Friday for sure.
I'm
Hope
just
for a
going
good
in with
result.
my SOF and see how it goes. Hopefully
I'm
get some safety rating. I'm in a slump right now of iRacing, just hemorrhaging everything. Just
just here for the safety
nothing
rating.
goes right. It's but still having fun. You know where I can't lose safety rating though? The Great Lakes Truck League. That was good.
That was a good one. That
So,
was a good one.
me and Gavin are both in a Tuesday night Truck Series league, the Great Lakes Truck Series. You can find it every Tuesday on Twitch on Split Second Broadcasting. Um,
Producer Jeff
this
is happy with the plug.
this week we were at Old Atlanta, Legacy Atlanta, and Gavin wasn't there, so I'll take the reins on this one a bit. It was a race. Um, had a little bit of an incident on lap 1 with some wheel spin. A lot of us hadn't seen that before. Wheel spin on a green flag start was new. Um, didn't only hurt a couple people's races for the amount of people involved. Um, but once we got back going again, some good green flag runs. Personally, I'm still fairly not an experienced iRacer by any means. I haven't driven a car that felt like this. It was very, very loose and very on edge. So it took a bit of the race to get it woed down and to get it figured out. But once I got it there, it was a very fun race. We had some inconvenient for some people, but very convenient for other people. Cautions fall. But some very good green flag runs to lead into some very interesting battles at the finish of the race. At the end of the race, Matthew Weeks had the right strategy and came away with a win at Atlanta. But yeah, there was, like I say, some unfortunate cautions, but also a lot of fun racing, a lot of hard racing. Um, Fun track, like I say, definitely a tough race, but if you can handle the car and can keep your wits about you, it's very good race overall.
Atlanta's
Gavin, I know you raced Monday night in the Ignite Racing League. How did that go?
not good. We'll go with not good. I don't know. We were racing at a Twin Ring Motegi. Flew over the pond, the
In
virtual
some
pond,
beautiful weather, may I add.
in some beautiful weather. This is a public service announcement for anyone making a league. Don't turn the fog on.
On a road course.
Well, no, it wasn't. We were on the oval. There's an
Oh.
oval inside that track, but it was. I have never seen a league race be that foggy before. Overall, like the actual race itself was pretty good. I got in that practice session and was immediately way off the pace and way out to lunch. Um, had it figured out. We were on the right strategy for a bit. Kind of short pitted everyone on a caution. Drove from about third or came in about 25th after some wrecks, avoiding some wrecks. Drove up into the top 10, and then caution came out perfectly exactly how we wanted. And then I proceeded to tear the wall down halfway into the run, and what became an easy top 15 quickly turned into a 26th place finish in the Xfinity car.
You'll have that once in a while, won't you?
Yeah, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. That league is at Watkins Glen next week. Definitely looking forward to that. The strongest road course that I can drive. Had lots of success there.
Good mention. The Great Lakes Series is at Richmond next week, I believe. Yes, Richmond next week. So always a fun track there. Always a fun race at Richmond.
Yeah, good old Richmond. I have very fond memories of Richmond. And Jeff is staring at me right now, probably going, "We don't talk about my fond memories at Richmond." But
I think last thing we'll close it up here with on the iRacing side is the devs dropped a update video for NASCAR 25, which is coming out. When's it coming out? Soon, is it not?
I believe no release date has been given.
Fall
Like
2025. So
yeah, I believe
I'm
fall
not that far
2025.
off.
No release date given. I know generally the rule was, I'm saying was, that they want to come out by the end of the like before the championship race. Not saying that's the case. Obviously, I don't know. I've seen lots of complaints online about people saying that this game just looks like NASCAR 21 or NASCAR Heat, and I am the bearer of unfortunate news to let everybody know that, based off what's been provided, this game is built on the same engine as the other ones, the Unity engine. This is not a secret. If you can kind of take the cues of, like, a lot of games are on Unity. Just by looking at it, you can tell that it's built on the Unity engine, and people just need to understand that this is not going to be iRacing on a console. Nobody wants that, contrary to what you all think you want. You don't want that. Um, you don't want that physics engine. iRacing doesn't want to port that physics engine. It's way too much money and way too much time for a product that people aren't going to enjoy. Other than that, the game looks promising. The only thing I noticed in that trailer that I had a problem was, why does everything have white wheels? Why? Like, I'm assuming that's a graphical bug on the trailer, but there are a lot of cars that have white rims, and I just am like, I don't think any car has white rims. That's my
Personally,
only
I don't believe
complaint with
so.
it. Am I losing my mind?
You could be. I question that very often.
Quickly, everybody,
Um,
open the link. Oh, damn, it just got dark.
yeah, what did you do?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, what I was gonna say is, it games are so hard. Oh yeah, they do. Why does it have white rims? What the
Okay,
heck?
thank you. See? Thank you for
Yeah, no, I just
validating
saw
my
that the
feeling.
William Byron car has white
Yeah,
rims.
the Byron's got silver
Um,
rims.
like it's with all sports games, you can only do so much graphically.
Blind.
Before people say, "Oh, it looks the same. Oh, it looks the same. Oh, it looks the same." You can change HUDs, which it looks like they've done here. You can only do so much graphically, but I think the companies working on this game are going to let the gameplay speak for itself. I'm still looking forward to it. Um, Another step in the racing video game world. Um, Trying to give people, maybe people who can't afford iRacing or people who don't want to spend the money on iRacing. Um, Not saying, like I'm saying, not saying this is going to drive like iRacing, but just giving them something else to, to play around with and to race on instead of having to spend an absurd amount of money to race. Um, we can say this, we can say that, but I think at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait for the release. And I, for one, am very excited about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, no one wants this to be or I don't want this to be iRacing on a console. I don't think that that's what iRacing wants. Um, I think the big benefit of iRacing having the license is that it's a studio that understands the, source content. iRacing knows what NASCAR wants, and obviously they're going to try and give it to them. People have to remember that making it is, again, very easy for us to sit here and go, wow, you should have done this, you should have done that, even though there's probably a very good reason that this isn't a thing or that isn't a thing. Like the choose cone in iRacing, everyone's like, or full course yellows on road. People are like, we want full course yellows on road. And I'm like, do you really? Do you really
Yeah,
want to
you do
run
until you get
24
it, and
hours
then you
under
realize how
yellow?
bad it is.
So, yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, still just a dev update, not even an official game trailer, really. So, still not a ton to go on. So, we'll just have to wait and see as that rolls out in the following months.
Yes. So as we covered, very busy week in racing. Um, didn't even get to cover Indy or,
I say we
but
forgot
I didn't.
IndyCar
I
existed.
didn't watch any of the Indy race. I was busy. Sorry.
Alex Pillow won. Move on with your day.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah,
So,
shocking.
I think that's gonna wrap it up for us at the Unnamed Racing Podcast today. Thank you to Jeff, our producer, who's gonna help put this out and who has given us these beautiful graphics and logos. Like we said, Great Lakes Racing Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube at Split Second Broadcasting. Come check it out. Some very entertaining hard racing. Ignite Racing Monday nights. And from me, that's all for today. Gavin, anything else?
No, obviously, just want to thank Jeff for helping us produce this. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. Don't forget to check out our Twitter, or I guess X, depending on what you want to call it. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're going to try and post some short form clips on all those platforms as well. Thank you, Blair, for joining me. And that's all we've got for today.
We will talk to you next week.